How you guys doing? How are you guys doing? I was just literally trying to figure out the chat, but I guess this works too. How you guys doing, man? Let me know, let me know, let me know. Oh, cool. Yo, I am using the I'm using Procreate. Uh you might be able to hear the answer, but you look forward to the response. Yeah, I'm using Procreate right now. Yes, sir. Am I missing something? All right. When will I do a second part of The Lion King, but only where Simba and Nala's daughter, Kiara, was born? I don't think y'all understand how much work that first one took. Um, that first animation took a long time. It wasn't something that happened overnight, and there are other projects that I'm working on too. Like what we have today. Let me show you a little bit, and I'll get back to it. Your questions. All right, yeah. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Right now, we have a character that I mean, I can't tell you who this is. I can't tell you who this is. Um, but I think he's shaping up to be a pretty cool character for like end game type of story and stuff like that. Ultimately, this character, uh, he is how do I describe this character? He is he's endgame. That's all I can say. Basically, this what I'm doing. Every single Saturday, I'm going to go live and show you the process of this manga that I'm making, or rather, manga-esque comic that I'm making every single week. Really, I have less than well, more or less 90 days to be able to create this manga or webtoon because webtoon is coming out with its webtoon is coming out with this $1 million contest, and I feel like it was a good excuse for me to actually be able to create a bit of a one shot or a 3 4 chapter story, um, and use it as an excuse to create really. And I want to show you guys the process of me creating all the characters from scratch. You've probably already seen some of the characters on my Patreon. You have a glimpse of the characters from my Instagram. And so, yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing now. Where every single week you guys are gonna get a glimpse of the process. You're gonna be asking me any question that you want, um, and we're gonna be working from there. Really, let me see what else. Right now, I'm still in the character design stage. I have the first 3 chapters written out, and so we're good on that end. And so I'm thinking about taking probably doing another live stream later on next week before Saturday, or just doing it every single Saturday, just in case. But ultimately, I want to show you guys the process. I want to show you guys how I'm creating characters, how I'm designing things, etc., etc. But yeah, ultimately, I want to have fun with this. This is a fun little side project that I'm doing. It's supposed to be picking up every, slowly every week. Um, and I'm still working on other projects as well, and I can let y'all in on those once I'm done with this. But this is where I'm at. The context of the story is essentially it's a West African setting, fantasy story. It's an epic, um, and there's a bit of romance in there too. But essentially, if I could explain it well, it would be think Lion King meets My Hero Academia meets how can I say? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Wistoria. That anime that recently came out. It's a beautiful anime, and it's largely inspired by a lot of these various themes. You're gonna see themes of Naruto and stuff like that in there too, but mostly that's where the inspiration for this story came from. It's called Sankofa, and Sankofa means to go back and get it. But is this Sankofa is in reference to Isaiah 63 verse 7, and that's all I can tell you on that. But essentially, I want to create something that is faith based, but not like overt, I guess. Something that is inspired by my faith and my culture, and I'm putting it all in there. And I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to build it. You guys can ask me questions. I have Patreon members who have already asked me questions. Man, the battery's low. I have Patreon members who've already asked me questions, and so I can start there. But I'm going to be playing around with this character design, trying to figure out, where to place things and how to rearrange stuff or whatever. But ultimately, yeah, I want to show you guys every bit of my process. You can ask me how I'm drawing things. You can ask me my thought process behind certain characters, but I really just want to share this with you guys. Cool, cool. Let me just check a couple of things as well. All right. I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking me. Oh, man. I am Quantavious. I so before I answer the live streaming question, um, I have heard of Ordeal. I am obsessed with Ordeal. Um, it's probably one of the best things on Webtoon, if I'm quite honest, just from my standpoint, like it's amazing. So yeah, I think Ordeal is amazing. It's one of my favorites. Thank you for that question. How am I loving streaming, and what are all the things that I'm using? So essentially, I this is like my second or third stream. I've live streamed once before, like maybe a couple times before in Patreon, just exclusively there, just doing private live streams, just talking and chatting it up. That was pretty cool. Oh, thank you so much, man. Uh, that was pretty cool, and it was a lot of fun. But I wanted to expand it. I wanted to talk to more people. I wanted to have you guys in the chat, see how I could talk with you guys and stuff like that. So that's why I'm doing this. I want to connect with y'all, and I want to show y'all my process. Yes, yes. All right, let's see what else. I'm gonna answer just a couple more questions and get this chat popping. Give me 1 second. Cool, cool. I have some questions from my Patreon member, Afro Ninja. He came in clutch with some questions that he wanted me to answer in advance. So that's what I'm going to be doing for him. If you want me to answer your questions first, you can always join my Patreon. How many chapters do I plan on running? I'm planning on doing the first 3 to 5 chapters of this story. I don't want to give any of the details away just yet, because I want you guys to actually enjoy the story. I want you guys to appreciate the story. But ultimately, if we go further, like if this really takes off, I can do 12 chapters, ultimately, and I can just end it with that sort of season right there. What's my process for deciding on a story like this? So I like I like to start off with a very good premise, right? Like I just uploaded a throwaway story. Well, not really a throwaway. I want to come back to it, called Alternate Eden, in which the premise of that was what would happen if Adam and Eve never ate the forbidden fruit, right? Like what would that look like? What would the world look like? What would the story look like? And then an added layer is like, okay, what if it was in a different dimension? What if it was on a different planet? What if, the entire story was different? And so I really wanted to take that and play around with it. I've also done the same thing with humans, the human story, right? Where essentially that story is, what if everyone's skin color was based on their personality, but then also what if what was going on like internally, emotionally in your mind or in your heart and stuff like that showed up on your skin. So for example, you see how like when a lot of white people, whenever they're really embarrassed or you know their emotions run high, their skin starts to flush red. It would essentially be the same thing, but with you know spots or colors or different type of textures and stuff like that. And so that was the mindset behind humans for that premise. This world is slightly different because um, I don't have as strong of a premise apart from what happens when you get what you wanted, but it's not what you expected, right? What happens when you're in a world where you're surrounded by power, but you're weak? How do you interact with the world around you? Um, so yeah, that's that. Let me see if there are any more questions right now, and then I'll answer them real fast. When I come up with a general idea, well, how do I come up? How do when I come up with a general idea? How do you come up with a problem for the MC to overcome? Um, oh man, okay. Essentially, my thought process is how can I make this as how can I make this as difficult as possible for the MC? For me, I like to I like to put my MCs through a lot of trouble. I do. I like to give them hell because that's an interesting story. That's where stuff really goes down. So I like to think number one of what the problem could be and how it seems insurmountable, and then I can start pulling stuff out from out of nowhere. Really, like there's a bunch of tropes that I'm already familiar with, and so I'll lean on those. Um, but ultimately, yeah, I'm thinking about what's the mountain or hurdle that they have to face first. How does the MC feel about it? And then I'm also thinking about how the other characters can help the MC and what are they learning ultimately. Because I don't want to just do anything just for the sake of doing it. I did that a lot with humans and I did not like the fact that I did that. But ultimately, I'm trying to think okay, what do I want them to learn first? How is this almost next to impossible for this character? And then ideas start to pop up, right? And I do that for a lot of different characters right now. Like even with the antagonist, I'm still thinking about okay, what is an obstacle that this character needs to overcome as if they're the main character as well. And so I'm switching between different arcs so that the story is more interesting beyond just the main character because that was one of my faults before where I would only focus on the main character and not really expand the cast's arc. They were kind of just there to support the main character and their goal. I don't want to do that this time around. I want to be able to. I want to be able to really expand a lot more on what the world could look like outside of the main character's perspective as well. Like with the main character's love interest. She's a love interest, but she also has her own arc going on that I think is possibly it's competitive with the main character's arc, and it's deep. It's a very sensitive topic, but I think it's worth exploring within the context of this world. Let me see. Will I rely on tropes or just do my own thing and wrap it up how I see fit? Um, hmm. There's definitely tropes in here, like typical anime tropes and stuff like that in here. But ultimately, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna start off with those tropes, but I'm not gonna end there. They're not gonna be like the main thing. Cause I don't. One thing about me, I don't like being predictable. I when I'm creating a story, I want to have some twists and turns, but I still want to keep the main thing, right? Like I want to make sure that I'm staying on task, but I also want to make sure that you don't know what's coming next, because that leaves us for, you know, great cliffhanger. And if I don't have a good cliffhanger, then I'm not having fun. I One thing I want is for the readers to be invested and then to become frustrated because they want to know what happens next so bad. That's how I know personally that I'm doing a good job, that people can keep up with the story, they understand exactly what's going on, but just when they think they know what's going to happen next, it's like, wait a minute, what? And not wait a minute, what, in like a confusing way, but what, like, oh wow, this didn't go the way that I thought it would, but this is just as interesting. So let me see what's going to happen next. That's what I want. I want something that, like, you know, throws you for a loop, but keeps you engaged. If that makes any sense. Just adding some tattoos here and stuff. And let me add that as I'm creating this character, I'm trying to think about what it says about him, right? So, like, for example, for this character, I'm thinking about, like, why is he wearing this robe? Like, what symbols can I add here that would say something about him? Right now, I want to give you the vibe that he's very studious, but he's also very strong, right? Like, he knows exactly what he's doing and where he's going and stuff like that. And I want to give him aura. I want to give him a vibe that says, don't mess with me because I know what I'm doing. That's the kind of vibe that I'm trying to go for here with all the scrolls and like how everything is playing around. Like, I really want to make sure that I have the fantasy aspect interwoven with like a bit of manga style, but also like you can tell the African influence is there all throughout. And so I've previously had trouble, you know, incorporating the proper African influence, and now I want to incorporate that even more, just to make sure that the setting is correct and stuff like that. And that's all incorporated into the character design. Um, so yeah, hopefully that provides a little bit more insight as to what exactly you're looking at. Yeah, and actually, you guys can know more about this as well because I'm also creating an e-course. Well, I'm almost done now. I'm editing it now. But I'm launching an e-course so that you can learn how to be able to do this yourself. So if you want to be able to create your own characters, but you're not sure where to start or how to be able to make them more diverse or, you know, make them more dynamic, you can join the let me see if it's up. I'm pretty sure I have it in the description. Um, but yes, you can go ahead and join the link for the you can join the link to the wait list. Sorry, my head is everywhere. Go ahead and join the link to the wait list, and yeah, we can get started together as soon as it's ready, and I'll let you know, like, you know, further details and stuff like that. But yeah, I think, you know what, let's have fun and let me play around with, yes, the waiting list. Let me play around with color right now, just to explore a little bit more and to give you guys add some more color here. I'm just playing around with a bunch of different stuff. I'm creating like a sort of color palette. Yeah, this is good. Yeah. Let's get some color in here. If you want to collaborate or contact me, you can't. I do have a commissions form in my Instagram link tree. I can probably add that after this live stream. I'm only going to be up here for like maybe another 30 minutes um, until the next time that I stream, whenever that is. But yeah. Oh yeah, let me add some face markings. Yeah. And then add this. Cool, cool. All right, it's looking dope already. Yeah, I like the way he looks. But yes, if you want to collaborate on something and you don't want to learn how to draw yourself, I would always advocate everyone should, learn how to draw because you can. That's what the whole course is about. Because a lot of people ask me, how do you learn how to draw? Like, how did you learn how to do what you do? I created the course to be able to give people um, the thing that I wish I had, a little bit of guidance, not only for how to be able to create your own characters, but also how to be able to build your own, platform, even if it's from scratch. All right. I want to add a little bit of fire here. It's not literally fire, just, a tinge of red for a splash of color. And I go back here, go down here for the sides of his head because he shaves the sides of his head. So I think this is pretty cool. Let's add some more color here just so that we know what we're looking at. All right. Boom. Let's do more. Let's do more. Sorry, y'all. Just gotta lock in real quick. I think that's all I'll do here for now. Let's add some more. Yeah. You guys can let me know what you think of this character design as well. Like, I don't mind taking suggestions. I think it's coming out pretty cool, but if you think I should add something else, I'm all ears. I want to hear what you have to say. Yeah. Just doing something quick and dirty here for y'all. Trying to see what this looks like. This is fire. I could add, a little bit of glow and stuff. But I'm just doing the bare bones just to get a feel for the character. I like the way that the character, let's call him Sensei for now. Like the way Sensei, he has this vibe to him. The pose is strong, the arm is strong. Yeah. I like his shepherd staff. That's also like, it has a blade on the other end. The scrolls are a bit much, but I like them. Yeah. Let me see your questions real quick. Yeah, the dock still isn't working, but I will fix that for the next time. Oh, that's a good question. You guys asked some really good questions. I like that. Um, what would I do if? Okay, wait. It's a lot of questions here, actually. All right. What's my trick for making characters stand out when there's a lot going on in a scene? Okay. Good question. So I like to make sure that um, the shape language of a character makes the most sense, right? So like you can tell this character apart from anything else. So for example, here I'm really big on hair, right? So you can tell this man's afro from a lineup, and that's actually one of the things that I mentioned in the course as well. I know I'm talking about it a lot, but I put a lot into that course. Um, I want to be able to make sure the shape language of any character design that I'm creating stands out. I want to make sure that they're all very distinct, and how I like to do that is often through the hair or through the different, ranges of body types. And so usually, like, the crowd will be just a jumble of, different characters and different bodies and stuff like that. And I will mute the characters, or I'll make sure that the color palette of the characters matches the setting. So for example, if I have the character out at night, I'll make sure that the other characters are muted. They have a little bit of a blue overlay on top of them, so that it's clear who we're supposed to focus on, right? So you might even, some people add like a little bit of a blur, just a tiny bit of a blur, so that you can see exactly who you're supposed to focus on. I wouldn't do that for every single panel, but if I want to direct their attention, then I want to make sure that, depending on the setting, if it's during the day, then like everyone else is a little bit more muted, just slightly. I would say like 2 to 3% more muted in color, and then saturate the main character, whoever I want to be paying attention to, just that same amount more, so that you can tell who's supposed to stand out in a specific scene or in a specific frame. Hopefully that helps. What else? What else? I don't know. Let me see. Uh, what would I do if I won the contest? Where would that money go towards? So the thing about the contest, right? The thing about the contest is that you only the winners only get like what, 150, and that's like the top final four. Then there's others who get like 35K and stuff like that. Ultimately, I still want to tell stories, right? So I'm going to use that money wisely. I'm going to obviously use some of it to pay the rent, pour back into the business, and increase my setup here and stuff like that. Um, but ultimately, I'm going to make sure that I'm covered so that I can pour back into merch, or just being able to tell stories full time, right? I feel like that's what it would I would have the most fun doing, and that's what I would want to do the most. Ultimately, give you guys more of whatever I can, and be able to just be at ease for at least a little while. I already answered how you can contact me. How do I decide when a character is done and not keeping it and not tweaking it forever? And what kinds of powers do they have in this manga? I'll answer both. So, um, what kinds of wait, what? There we go. Okay. What kinds of powers do they have in this manga? Essentially, in this world, people can turn into different kinds of anthropomorphic beasts, right? So you see Mirko, and do you see like Suyu or even Gang Orca, how they can adapt, they can have any power of a specific animal, which was inspired by Spider-Man, who has all the abilities of a spider and stuff like that. So they can essentially do that for one animal, and that depends on their personality, right? And so if you have a very abrasive personality, you're more likely to, be able to morph into parts of a tiger or something. But your family's genetics or lineage also plays a part, right? So if you come from a more blunt family and stuff like that, you're more likely to be in a family that has predators. Whereas if you're more empathetic, you're more likely to be a shifter. That's what they're called. You can shift into an animal and stuff like that. More likely to become a shifter that is prey. And so in this world, obviously, might is right, and the strong conquer the weak. But there are genetic defects sometimes, and so if you happen to be more empathetic, and you're born into a predator family, ooh wee, If you are able to become a shifter, that's a problem. Uh, okay, cool. That's more like that's a problem, and you might want to not use your ability if you're able to become a shifter because it's very much frowned upon. In this world, your family's lineage and your family's ability to extend the power to become a shifter is paramount. And so you're laughed at, you're made fun of, you're ridiculed if you say come from a family that um, can shift into lions, but if you're the one that shifts into a bunny rabbit in the family and the rest of your family doesn't shift into that, that's a problem. They're probably going to shun you or make sure that you don't leave the house. That's the kind of society we're living in. Everything is about being able to extend the family line and with grace. So if you can't do that, you're a disgrace. Um, and how do I'll come back to that, but how do I know if a character is done? Ultimately, I need to know, first of all, is the silhouette strong? Every single time when I'm starting out, I need to know, is the silhouette of this character very strong? Next, does the overall design of this character, not just the facial features, not just like the hair features, but also the clothing on this character, does it match their personality? Does it say something about this personality enough for me to be able to tell their story in whatever capacity that's in? Um, and does it look cool? Does it feel right to me for me to be able to understand this character just by looking at them? So sometimes a character will look cool from the side profile, but then when I turn it to face forward, like towards me, then it doesn't necessarily feel as right. And so I have to continue making tweaks from that point. If I can do a full turnaround of this character and know, like, yeah, this is exactly what this character is supposed to be, then I know I found right. Then I know, like, I hit the jackpot for that character. Um, so yeah, it takes a few rounds, but if you know the type of personality that you want to have for this specific character, then it'll be a lot easier for you to then use various shapes and various tools, color palettes and stuff to be able to figure out, like, yeah, this feels right for this character, and that's how I know, that's where I want to, that's the direction that I want to go. Um, but ultimately, you got to know who the character is first if you really want to feel like you've done it right. If you're just trying to explore the character and trying to see what feels right and then have that tell you, it's a lot more fun, but you're going to be lost more often if you fall. At least for me, I'm lost more often if I'm just creating a character and I don't know who that character is first. If you have to write it down, then you have to write it down. Um, but I like to know who my characters are. I like to know what purpose they serve. I like to know what am I trying to say with this character. Um, and then I can use different shapes and color palettes and stuff like that to know, okay, yeah, this feels right. Sometimes I'm using too much of one color and not enough of another, right? So, like, for this character, I want to use white. How do I make this character stand out at night? I mean, it's a lot easier when you're using white because then you can use the tint of the colors or the setting around it. Um, but say I wanted to use red. What would the red say about this character? Am I using too much red? Do I want to counterbalance it with with a hint of blue somewhere? Do I want to counterbalance it with some purple to show, okay, this person is royalty? So you know what? I think I'm gonna actually use white and purple for this character, right? But I'm not going to use a direct white. I want to use like an off white, like a vanilla, right? So I can bring that in here. And the reason why I would want to use an off white is not usually white is in reference to someone who's pure and stuff like that. And I want to give off the impression that this character is somewhat pure, but they're not the pinnacle of purity, right? Like, I want to make sure that this character feels royal. Like, okay, like this person is pretty high up. So I want to use a nice purple that doesn't oversaturate too much. I want to make sure that like it's not drawing too much attention, but you can notice it for sure. So I'm going to use like maybe highlights of this purple. And because I used an off-white that is yellow, it complements one another. These are things that I touch on in the course as well. Oh man. But yeah. Actually, let me just do this and then I'll come back around with I want yellow like gold highlights for these inscriptions here. And honestly, you're not always going to like reach a good character design in the first pass. I know I didn't when I was creating the main characters. If you watched the previous live stream, I drew and colored the love interest and one of the rivals, and that was like my second or third pass where I was like, okay, this feels closer to where I want to be. And so it takes time. You have to really figure out what the narrative is, what your OC is actually like, and why do they look like that? Why do they look like that out of all things, right? So hopefully that answers your question. This is getting closer to where I want, not quite, but now I'm even thinking, do I want to add a turban, right? Like, so if I want to scrap this right here, right? And I just want to take off the color real quick. What does the turban say about this character? I think it could imply something religious about the character, that he's very devout. But then also, I think it could add in. Oh no, what happened? There we go. I think Procreate just glitched on me. That happens sometimes. But I think it could add an element of mystery as well with the way that I wrap the turban. It's very big. It's very obnoxious, but I think it could. I think it could be interesting. Hold on, let me get rid of this hair. Yeah. Right? A very simple oval shape covering the head. And then if I fill it with this same color, and you have like these sort of rectangles on the side, I could make this deeper and then maybe get rid of where's the glasses? Yeah. Maybe use the turban to add some shadows and stuff like that. Just really play around. Okay, when I'm adding this oval, am I saying that this character is more agreeable, or are the shadows that it's casting causing me to question more of this character's character? character's character. Who this character is and stuff like that. It makes the character more shady. It's like it's more of an interesting shape language because you have like sort of a mushroom thing going on here. I could make it lower. And I could you know what I mean? And then also I have to fill in the color too. But ultimately, what am I trying to say with this character? I think I'm trying to provoke some mystery with this character. especially covering the eyes with that sort of shade. And it's a totally different vibe than before. Before we got uh, an intriguing but not as mysterious vibe. We knew that the character was sort of, studious, and because of like the shape of the hair, it was a little bit more spiky. It was a little bit more like there was some energy to it. Now we've covered that completely, and even though there may be some agreeable nature to this character, we're not sure of what the character's intentions are because we've covered the eyes, right? So there's a lot of different tools and stuff that you can do in order to be able to make characters more dynamic and interesting. You could definitely tell this character out in a crowd, but why? Why is this character built like that? You know what I mean? So hopefully that answers your question in depth. Um, will there be heavy plot twists, or is it just straightforward hero's journey cycle? It's both. I think there's a bit of both in the story, and I think there's room for that too. I think I want to be able to have a bona fide hero story, but I'm also contemplating if the character isn't the hero of the world, because everybody's like the hero of their own story. Everybody's their own main character. Excuse me. But I'm contemplating if the main character should be the one who saves the world. I don't think I want that. I think I want the character to be instrumental in the world and to be involved and be invested in the world. Make a difference, sure, absolutely. But I don't think I want the main character to be the one who saves the entire world. I think he causes a shift, but he's not the one who saves the day. Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. That's all I'll say on that. Okay, let me add this here. I was gonna add bandages, but let's see what this looks like. Okay, that's my thought process on page flow. I like to break the page a lot. That's one of my bad habits. I love breaking the page. I love like breaking the borders. Um, I do think that it should flow in a way that allows the reader to follow it easy, especially since I'm doing the scroll format on Webtoon, and so I want to make sure that it's easy to read above all else. I want to make sure that people don't get lost, because that's one thing that I see a lot of, at least beginner creators do, where like they'll put the text in the wrong place and it's hard for people to follow the conversation. I think following the conversation is highly important, and in some places I'll just only have like a bubble text so that you can know exactly what I mean and what I want you to pay attention to. So I think that's highly important. I think that's very, very important. um so yeah, let's see what else. Yes, every Saturday I will try to stream to the best of my ability. There might be 1 or 2 Saturdays, and even then, I'll let you guys know in advance, um, and probably do another stream a different time in the week. But yes, every Saturday, you're gonna find me here, God willing. Keep the questions coming. We got about 10 minutes left. I'm gonna lock in and finish this out. Okay. Hmm. Let's just do this for now. I don't know. Let's do purple shoes. How about that? Okay. One thing too, I'm trying to measure the balance of one color over the other. So even if I were doing this, I would still try and make sure, like, okay, what's the majority color here? And yeah, I guess this is fine. Let's add this. Okay, okay. This is the background that I made before when I was making the poster that you guys probably saw. I made a poster. Let me use this here. Just add some grass here and there. But also, yeah. Just keeping it rough. I'm trying to go quick. Okay, okay. I definitely feel like this could be better. But if you're an artist, you know how it feels like there's more pressure when people are watching you. And how you're just like, oh my gosh, does this look right? That's where I'm at right now. Yeah, which design do you guys prefer? This one or the one I had before? I like this for a different character. I'll probably use that for a different character. Uh, yeah. Okay. Let me add this to the back too. Back, 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 back. Quickly gonna shade. For something like this, if I want to use the multiply layer, I'm gonna go with like a deep indigo blue because that matches the nighttime, right? But then you also have to think about the light source, like this fire. And so if the fire's strong, oh man. Actually, let me focus on where the light source is coming first. So first, if I want to do something like this and I want to add like a glow, ugh. Usually I like to add a blur behind this color right here. And then I just, use like a Gaussian blur. But here, I'm actually going to use a light brush because I did it all in the same layer. Different ways of doing the same thing. Definitely want to add some of that light here on the hand. Right? I'm gonna make sure this feels soft. Again, this is real rough. I'm just going with the flow here. But the brush is too harsh, so I'm going to use the Gaussian blur just a little bit. Then I'm going to come with a little bit of overlay. Using my brush here. Cool. Covering this, a little bit of this. Right. Definitely. Oh no. Oh, you can't see it. It's fine. Oh man. Cool. So one thing to keep in mind here is that because it's nighttime, I'm actually going to merge these two. Right? I'm going to merge these two. I'm going to duplicate the layer. I'm actually going to make it black. And then I'm going to turn the whole thing like a blue because it's nighttime so that I can really see these highlights better. But then also I got to take this fire out. Right? Don't want that in there. If it's surrounding the hand, that means the hand also has to go as well. Because it's all around. I'm trying to figure out. Ah, man. There we go. Trying to figure out where the shadows will land and where to keep them. Right? Cool. I'm not going to keep it that dark the entire time. I'm going to use this multiply. Then I'm going to decrease the saturation. So now you really see those highlights. It makes it easier. Oh man, I forgot which I'm gonna use it for. A little bit of here. All right. Because the fire is coming from right here, I'm trying to figure out where the fire will land. Actually, too. Boom, boom, boom. And just what's closest to it. And then I'm also going to use a soft brush on low opacity. I'm going to lightly come for these areas right here. There's not like any moon or anything like that, so I'm going to be wise with this. Actually going to turn this up a bit more so that we see this. But then also the shadows, I'm going to erase them a little bit on just on the edges, a little bit more. Time's it. Oh, it's 2 o'clock. Dang, sorry guys. I gotta head out. I gotta get a haircut, man. Let's do this again. Let's do this again. Yeah. I hope this helped. If I didn't get to any questions now, let's do this again next week. And yeah. Hope this was as fun for you as it was for me. God bless you guys. When, if not, I'm going to some. I'll answer that next stream. But yeah, thank you guys for coming through, and God bless.